is your moment. Express yourself, let your voice be heard. This is your moment. The time has come with the Latoya Show.
Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome to This Is Your Moment. I'm your host, Latoya Foster, and I certainly hope that each and every one of you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you something I'm very grateful for. Friendship. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Debra Alfarone of CBS News. Now, these days, Debra can be found delivering news outside the White House, on the CBS Early Show, delivering news to millions of CBS viewers all over the world, giving Emmys and accolades and so much more. But there was a journey that led to this moment. A journey that included dropping out of high school and often feeling that she wasn't enough. But I tell you what Debra did. She took those labels and turned it into opportunity. Wait until you hear her story. Take a look. Debra, I am so excited you are joining me here on This Is Your Moment. I miss my friend. How are you, girl? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I can't believe it's been so long. It's ridiculous that it's been so long. But you and I literally pick up the phone and we're on the phone and it's like we talked yesterday. And so it's been way too long, but I miss you so much. And it's like, we're back together.
Yes, we are. And it's a true testament about friendship. Friends can pick up where they left off. It could be days, it could be months, it could be years, but no matter what, we pick up right where we left off the moment we are back in contact with each other, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's real. That's real. Well, first and foremost, I want to talk about how you've been doing out there reporting on the front lines during this pandemic. What's that been like for you?
It's funny. I was putting together some of my stories, editing them together to look at, and you really should look at your stuff to just get some feedback and get some like perspective, right? So I'm looking at it and I go, oh my goodness, the things that I have been doing. I don't believe if you told me a year ago that I would have covered, an impeachment. Because we also, don't forget about that. That happened before the pandemic. My goodness, there's the impeachment, a pandemic. Like I was there at the White House the night that the president gave his primetime address.
Wow.
It was just wild. And then everything having to do with all of the protests and the uprising and people's voices being heard after George Floyd in a way that they hadn't been heard before, and still not heard enough.
Right. That's right.
In a pandemic.
Yep. And throw all that in a mixing bowl together, and my goodness.
And then the election, which, would be enough, right, at any point.
That's right.
I mean, an election like no other. I mean, leading up to it, and then, of course, after the election, my mind is boggled.
I can imagine that you're pretty busy over there. You're pretty busy.
Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Yeah, it is. And it used to be just, you'd report on whatever the story of the day is, and that would be it. No, now it's like, you report on something, then the next hour it changes. Oh, then your story changes. Like it has been, and that always has happened in big markets, but not so much in Washington in the political world. Like whatever's happening, it's happening. No, it's like boom, boom, boom.
That's right.
Yeah,
moment to moment.
You're getting whiplash.
That's a good way to put it. That's
an accurate way.
That's no doubt. From high school dropout to Wall Street, how did Debra Alfarone make the leap and take the leap? You're getting ready to learn more about label whisperers. That's a good one. And also why small balling is important. Take a look. So when did you know that you were going to make it out? What was that moment that something clicked and said, okay, there's the door. There's the yellow brick road. I'm on my way.
I think you have this want of getting out of there. Like I said, I looked out my window and I thought, I'm going to be somewhere one day. And you'd watch TV, you'd watch movies and you'd be like, oh, it's an interesting world out there. Yeah. But to actually make the connection from me and my life to that, I believe you have people in your life that come into your life to be label whisperers. I call them label whisperers because we all have labels, right? And so my label was a high school dropout. And so that's really all I was going to be. Like that label was going to just, tap me right here. Like I wasn't going to ever get any higher than that. And
Right.
so along the way, a couple of people at well-placed times and well-placed, intersections of my life came along and told me that I could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
And without them, I'd never be here. I had a high school friend who decided, he was going to community college and graduated. I didn't graduate. He graduated and went to community college in our town, like not too far from us. And I was like, what's that like? As I'm bringing up, fruit and vegetables at the grocery store.
Right.
And he's like, oh, it's really cool. Like I learned a lot, and there's lots of people our age, like it's kind of fun. And I was like, wow, maybe I could do that. And I saved up all my money to take one class.
Okay.
Yeah. And that person said, well, why, you should do it. Like, you should do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I took an art class. Like, I just thought, oh, that might be fun. I had no idea the path I'd be on. But
wow.
You take one, and then you take another, and then suddenly you're in college. I mean, it was along the way, different people came along. So that was my high school friend, John.
Okay.
And then later on, I was working in an insurance company, just doing administrative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a teacher, one of my teachers in college, who came in for whatever reason. I was doing some kind of internship. I don't even remember because it was that long ago, right? But she came in and came to my job, and she just kind of told me well, you could be something else. You could do whatever you want, set your mind to. No one ever told me that. And I know you hear oh, well, you could be anything.
Right.
But just the way I grew up, no one ever told me I could be anything. I was supposed to be, a housewife, and that was it. Shocking, right? But
right.
Still, that's really what it was.
When you heard that, did it click right then? Did it register right then that, you know what? I can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you're hungry for that,
right.
and someone gives you just that morsel, you're like, what? And so, from there, I got another job, and it kind of put me on this trajectory. And then I was working on Wall Street. I mean, which is already a big deal. Oh, okay, great.
Absolutely. I mean
that's
so
pretty
you
cool.
went from ringing up groceries to now we're on Wall Street. I mean, that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. How'd you make the leap from one to the other? What got you to Wall Street? And where was the interest, or was there ever interest? Just did you just
no? No.
Okay.
Anyone who knows me knows I love to write. I love to speak. I like things that are creative. I'm not a numbers person, although I can figure it out. It isn't my love. But what happened was again, you meet this person, you meet that person, they send you on your way. I started getting better jobs as a result of that one label whisperer, my professor, right? So I started working here, working there, and it just led to the next thing. And before I knew it, I was working, at American Express.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty amazing. And once I got there, it was such a wonderful company. They really cared about people. They would have once a month, different people would have lunch with the CEO. They had training that you could do. They had so many wonderful opportunities. They really built their people up.
Right.
I was like, whoa, this is interesting. I never thought that I'd be worthy of the training and to meet the CEO. I didn't know what the heck to say to the CEO, but I was learning. And as time went on, I got a little bit more confident with it. And I was there for a while. And, I'm on Wall Street. I'm like, okay, this is, I thought that was it. I thought wow, my life is pretty interesting. I'm working on Wall Street.
I'd say so.
We're done, right? We're done.
Well, I'm trying to even imagine walking onto Wall Street. Did you just sit right?
The time has come with the Latoya Show.
September 11th changed all of our lives forever. Find out how 9/11 led Debra Alfarone to her next big moment.
As as so many people experienced, 9/11 happened.
9/11.
And that was the big change in my life.
Yeah.
That was a time when, I saw it all happen. I saw the plane
So you were there. You were
I was
on Wall
there.
Street that morning when the
Yeah.
Twin Towers were hit.
Yeah. And
What was
I was,
that like?
well, I was going like I normally do to the subway from my apartment, and saw, this is crazy, saw two people walking the other way. Like, I'm going this way, they're going this way. And the one woman hits like her boyfriend or the guy that she was with or whatever. And she's like pointing, and their faces were such that I had to look.
Mm.
And I went like this, and I saw the plane.
Oh.
And then, but then I didn't know what to do. And so I picked up my phone, which did not look like this back then. It was
Right.
a much different. It was like, shh, you know, it was like, and I called my friends because, you know, I worked there and I had lots of friends that worked there.
Yeah.
We worked, you know, at 2 World Trade. And I called, nothing didn't go through. So I got on the subway and went down there, you know, not understanding and not knowing what kind of plane it was. And so I get there and I walk into the building, and, you know, everyone's distraught.
Right.
And they don't know what to do. And like one woman's crying, and I don't really understand what's really happening. But one of our bosses came out and was like, if you want to go home, it's okay to go home. Like, you guys can go home.
Okay.
And I was like, what's happening here? Like, I knew something was going on. And you could also, when I got out of the subway, you could feel like in the air, you had to kind of like keep your eyes kind of closed.
Yeah.
Because you could feel some kind of like
the energy.
Yeah, there was like energy and like this smell and just like,
oh, the smell. I can only imagine the smell.
Yeah. And so when I was inside the building, one guy who was relatively new was like, I don't know, should I leave though? Maybe we shouldn't go. And I was like, get your laptop, we're going. And we left.
Good move.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I was like, we're going. And he was new, so he didn't want to. He's like, I don't want to get into it.
Of course.
We're going. And we got in the subway, and I do believe it was the last subway out of there.
I was going to say, you got on the subway. So you didn't know the magnitude of what was happening when you went to the subway.
I knew I knew that the building was hit, but I didn't know to what degree, what kind of plane, nothing.
Okay.
But when we got into the subway, everyone's face was just like stone.
Oh, I can only imagine.
And then when I had gotten back to 14th Street, that's when one building had already fallen, so you could see the smoke. And these were not just buildings, like a building you see anywhere. I mean, remember, they were 120 stories high. Like,
that's right.
You could see them from anywhere. Right. They were larger than anything like that biggest building. They were twice the size. So it was really an anchor. It just, I mean, it was a day I'll never forget.
I can only imagine when you really understood the magnitude and how you were able to get on that subway that day.
I don't know how I got lucky.
Everything really broke out, right?
It was just the timing of like, it had to be the last subway because there are stories about people who walked, you know, to New Jersey, walked to Long Island, walked
That's why when
to
you
Queens
said
and Brooklyn.
Yeah, when you said you got on the subway, I'm scratching my head like you got on the subway.
Mm-hmm. It was the timing of it. It was the timing of it. Yeah.
And that's
crazy.
You had to know, Debra, that God had a calling over your life. You know, that there was something more that you were supposed to be doing. There was something you could have easily been right there at that moment when everything was going on, when those towers were falling, when we saw the rubble and the smoke and, you know, the images that we will never forget. And you were able to escape that. That's you are living proof of what God had in store for you. I mean, it's clear. It's clear.
I don't know that I even realized that until you just said it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. It was that long ago. And I don't know that I knew that until you just said it.
It's no question. You got out. And it changed the direction of your life as a result.
Like, I remember, it affected me deeply. And I remember putting the TV on and just sitting there for days watching these reporters. And at the time, we didn't know. we didn't know if people were alive or dead. There were 3,000 people who we'd never see again. And so people had pictures of their loved ones and a phone number, call me. And these pictures were, it's like, it was literally like a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Yeah.
And they would just post them on right near where I lived. You know, there was the St. Vincent's, the medical center right there. And I remember watching and watching and watching for hours, local news. And I had it just hit me. And I thought I want to help in that way to communicate life-saving and life-changing information. Little did we know then that these people, we weren't going to get them back. But at the time, it really deeply affected me. And that's when I made the choice to leave my job and go into television.
You know, and I'm going to take all of that and circle it back to the name of this show. That was your moment. That was your moment, Debra. It changed your life. So, and as a result, not only did it change your life, it changed all of our lives as a result of that one moment. You made the switch from Wall Street to television. And we've been bringing you into our homes ever since. So now we got to figure out, how did you get there from Wall Street to television? How? What was that road? How did you get there? Did you just pick up the phone and say, hey,
and they were like, hey, no, and
were you like sending out a resume saying you should hire me? How did you get from
no, it was
Rockefeller Center and NBC and ABC or any of the other stations that you reported at?
It was ridiculously hard. But you know, it's funny. I just, to hear you say that, you know, I asked the questions, Latoya. So
I know I told you that's what's going to make this really a lot of fun, because you're the one who's normally doing the interviewing. You're the one pulling the stories out of people, and now
you're so darn good at it. You're so darn good at it. Like, I'm like sitting here, and like part of me is in awe, going, she's so good at this. I wish I was as good as she is. Oh my God, you are damn good at this.
Because I
need to pay you a compliment.
Thank you, love. We are storytellers. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I decided I was going to take a class at NYU.
Okay.
So I did that. I met some people, and I heard about this station called New York One, where they were hiring people who would report, who would shoot, like who would go out there. They called them one-man bands back then. Now we call them multimedia journalists or whatever.
That's right.
And so that was the job. And I wanted that job desperately. And so I got a job behind the scenes, and I had to fight like hell to get that job. In fact, it's a joke because right now, the woman who hired me, she works at WNBC in New York, and we've talked and kept in touch over the years, but like it became a joke. Like it was funny. Like I would call and be like, hi, it's me again. Like I called so often that it became like we knew each other. And I'm like, hey, just wondering if like maybe we can talk later. Like I made it fun because it was just so silly that I would call someone 20 times, but I had to because I wanted that job. And that job paid $10.50 an hour.
Wow.
In fact, here's a great little nugget. So I left American Express. They, at that point, they had given people buyouts that you could leave. And I, left and was on unemployment. And so if I was to stay home, I would make $5 more than I would if I worked a full week at New York One.
Oh, wow.
Full time. Okay. But I decided I wanted this job. Like it's hilarious. Like that's how little we got paid that, I could have made more sitting at home. So I picked up a big old
opportunity. Opportunity. You took the leap for the opportunity.
Yeah. I wanted to. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to pick up a camera and run around, the 5 boroughs of New York City and shoot news. And I didn't understand anything at that point. I didn't know who, people who were really into it knew who like the teachers union person was and this person was and that person was. And, the Latoya of New York, like who that person was. I didn't know. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to carry my stuff around and shoot video. Like I learned, on the job. But that was my first job. And then I decided to put together a reel and worked at a station, which is not even there anymore. It's in Staten Island.
Wow.
It was called SI-76. It doesn't even exist. We had a twice weekly news show. I got paid $75 a story.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not
Wow.
easy. Yeah, I was really, really broke. And I had a roommate in my studio apartment. Like the two of us lived in a box. Like, but we did what we wanted to. We did it because we wanted the lives that we wanted. So we did what we had to do.
And and look how all of those sacrifices and taking risks and just paid off. It paid off. All of it was so worth it.
The time has come with the Latoya Foster Show.
Coming up next, Debra Alfarone is offering advice on taking chances, investing in yourself, and what it truly means to make it.
Well, you have to invest in yourself, right? You have to take the chance on yourself. And sometimes we get frustrated because it doesn't come quickly enough. But what happens is the lesson is there for you. Like when you fail, there's a lesson. When you don't get that job, there's a lesson. And it's up to you to take the lesson and not take the hurt with it and then hold on to that hurt. You got to just, this is the path, this is the journey, and don't make it mean anything about you.
That's right. That's right. And here's the thing, Debra. People who are watching this show right now, because we are truly living in some unprecedented times. Now, we've seen some things, but never have we seen something like this pandemic and what's going on right now. It's a time where people are, you could see it two ways. You could see the glass half full, or you could see it half empty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, people are trying to figure out, what's my next? Where do I go from here? How do I get to my next? Businesses are closing. Jobs are being cut.
Mm-hmm.
Unemployment,
right?
No. What do you say to people right now who are fearful, who may not have hope and just don't know what next entails?
It's really tough. And it's tough to give advice in a time that we've never experienced something like this.
Yeah.
And sometimes it sounds hollow, like, oh, just, have some hope, right? Like, it's kind of tough when you don't know where you're next, how you're going to pay your rent.
Yeah.
How are you going to stay safe?
Yep.
I mean, there's some people who have some real problems out there.
You better know it.
Yeah.
You better know it.
And like the only thing I can say because I have a community of news reporters, what you may, or maybe you do know this, what you may or may not know is that I have a community of news reporters who I lift up on a daily basis. Like I have a whole group, a Facebook group of women who are in different markets all across the country.
Wow.
So they might work in the smaller markets that you hear of, and they're looking to someone to lift them up. Right. And they're out on the front lines. I'm out on the front lines, and you'll see me on TV, but you might not see the woman who's in Paducah, Kentucky, reporting at 2 a.m, and putting her life, on the line, like a lot of people are. And so what I tell them is, it's okay to not be okay. Like feel your feels. It's okay to not be okay. There is no rule book. There's no guidebook for this. There's no precedent. I mean, maybe, I don't know anyone who's lived through this before. Right. So feel your feels. And then once you're done feeling that, just know this. You want to have a good life, like you really want to have a good life.
That's right.
It starts with a good day. All you can do is today.
That's right.
Today.
That's a good point. All you can do is today. You can't think about tomorrow, and yesterday is gone.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And we all live, but pandemic or not, we all live in the yesterday and the tomorrow.
Yep.
So many of us, it's so hard not to.
Yep.
And so I just want people to own today, this moment. You have a choice in what, this is your moment.
This moment.
See? T-shirt.
There we go.
T-shirt line.
You better know it.
Eric, I like that. Yeah, all we have is right now. And so we have a choice. We always have a choice. about what we think about and what we focus on. And so one thing that I try to share and be very vulnerable and open with people is that I never thought I'd get to where I am. And even still today, I still think, ooh, am I good enough for this?
Wow, you still second guess yourself. Really?
Yeah,
Now,
because it's that old thinking, right? It's that old gigantic suitcase I'm lugging around from the first 20 years of my life, right? Like, when you kind of heard you weren't, no one was really thinking you were going to be much anyway. That's when it all kind of sticks in you. So you're not good enough. What's wrong with you? Like all of that kind of stuff, you carry that around with you. And so I still have to try and get rid of that suitcase, which I do, but it takes work. Because this thing, if you let this thing just be on default, it's going to take you to some mean places. So you got to work it.
It does. But you are so right, Deborah. People are out there thinking back to what people told them what they couldn't do, shouldn't do. And you right now are saying, even now, today, after because you have made it, you've made it. Clearly, you've made it. But you still have to, balance those two things, saying, I made it, but you're hearing that voice. There's still that voice right here.
Well, what's funny is that even you saying you made it, like, I'm like, did I?
Yeah, no.
Like,
Yeah, you can't see yourself.
No.
You can't see.
There's no perspective. This perspective of how I see you and you see me is so different than how we see ourselves.
That's right.
And remember, I'm so thrilled to be at CBS News right now, right?
Yeah.
And I loved when I was here in Washington, and I worked in New York, and I worked in Connecticut. And those are just 4 yeses. Do you know how many no's I've gotten? Hundreds of no's.
No one sees that, though. All they see right now is that you're on CBS News in front of that White House.
Yeah. And what they don't see is when they see me, let's say you see me doing a report, I'm on not tomorrow, but the next day, I'll be on the early morning show.
Right.
What's going to happen is you're not going to realize that this job that I have now, a year before I got it, I was turned down for it. People don't realize that. And I wanted this job before that, and years before, interviewed for it and didn't get it.
Wow. But as we close out, Deborah, this is your moment. This is your moment. And because of your moment, we have masses and masses of people who are going to be inspired, and they're going to have some significant moments just from hearing your story.
The time has come with the Latoya Foster Show.
I certainly hope that you were blessed by today's show. Debra Alfarone, thank you so much, girl, for stopping by and re-emphasizing these points. And I hope you all truly understand you are worthy, you can make it, even if you have to small ball. You heard it here first. Kevin Adele and the Word Network and WADL, thank you all so much for this very moment. For all of our viewers out there who would like to become a partner with This Is Your Moment, or would like to sow a seed, you can do that through Cash App or email me at latoyafoster14@gmail.com. Until we meet again, stay blessed, stay parade up, and we'll see you next week. Take good care.